Okay, now it says it's streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, my problem is I don't know if it's streaming in the right place.
Oh. Okay, now it says it's streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, my problem is I don't know if it's streaming in the right place.
Oh.
Let me try something.
Okay, now it says
we're not streaming. Are you still there?
yeah.
Okay. It's supposed to come here, but I'm wondering if it's not letting us because
Let me see if I can go to the link.
we're not live right now, I don't think.
Let me just see.
Oh, it still says we are, doesn't it? Live on
We're
YouTube.
doing it. Let's see. Okay, so it says starts at 2:30, 4 minutes 15 seconds. It just
Yeah,
has the you know, the banner ad up.
right, but we're live right now on my channel. And this is we have 2 people watching, so let me see.
Okay.
Live on
We're
YouTube.
doing it. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got it open on YouTube.
Okay, so it says starts at 2:30, 4 minutes 15 seconds. It just has the you know, the banner ad up.
Right, but we're live right now
Second time.
on my channel. And this is we have 2 people watching, so let me see.
Okay.
Live on
We're
YouTube.
doing it. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got it open on YouTube.
Okay, so it says starts at 2:30, 4 minutes 15 seconds. It just has the you know, the banner ad up.
Right, but we're live right now.
Second time.
Hey, Matt, on my channel. This is we have 2 people watching, so let me see. I don't know how we can do this and answer the questions at the same time because you can hear the feedback, right? You can hear old us talking. So I think I'm not sure how I can answer chat questions in there. That's kind of weird, right?
Well, it depends on where everyone logs in, I guess.
Yeah. They're not logging in on Zoom.
They're logging in on Face or on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you keep that muted and just watch the chat, maybe?
Yes.
Let's try that and see if that'll avoid that feedback.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of a delay, so
Yeah.
okay. Let's just get started.
Let's do it.
Sorry everybody for any of the hiccups. I know we're probably not in the right spot right now, and YouTube might bounce us over to the right spot, but we are live. And if you found us, great. If you're here on the replay, great. You're still going to get the same information. So I'm Jennifer Cooper with JKC Mobile Notary, and I am with the amazing, the wonderful Matt Miller. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Jen, how's it going today? Thanks so much for having me, and welcome everyone to the show. Can't wait to share with you what we are going to talk about today. I will be answering questions from Jen, and I'm going to give you all the information I have to date and let you guys know how you can stay informed and get involved.
Awesome. Well, if you're ready, we're just going to head right into it.
Do it.
Let's start with what people might not know who you are. Most people should, but people might not know. You're here as a representative of the California League of Independent Notaries, the president, in fact, of this organization. So I want to first get into what that organization is. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. So the California League of Independent Notaries is an advocacy group
We are basically a nonprofit business league. So we rely solely on our member dues to move our mission forward. And that mission is to make the notary's voice heard on policy decisions that affect you and your business. So basically, we lobby for legislation that strengthens the Office of Notary Public and represents, notaries' common interests. And we also do our best to promote the profession of the independent notary.
Okay. What does so this is there a membership that comes with this being in this?
There is. So we have, several levels of membership. And we'll talk about those a little bit towards the end. I have a note here, but to get into it, being a member not only helps to make your voice heard on legislation that will affect your business and possibly open up new opportunities for you, but also, it's an investment in your career because you get a leg up on new opportunities and policy changes so that you can plan and implement those things. It also displays your commitment to professionalism. Oftentimes when prospective clients and businesses are looking for a notary partner, they are looking for someone who is active in their community, and being a member of the league certainly will help you display that. With your membership, you also get a directory listing on our website, and our website has been SEO optimized so that when people are looking for California notaries, or more specifically in your area, they tend to pop up on the first page of search results.
Nice.
Also, a kind of a unique quality of our website as being a member, you can list your events, like if you're holding a meetup or some kind of an online chat or any kind of event, you can list them on our website. And also, if you write blog articles, you can upload those on our website as well. And that helps to give you a little bit of social proof. And oftentimes we will feature those articles in our monthly newsletter as well. So it helps to establish yourself in the community as a leader. In addition to that, we do have the monthly newsletter, which is very informative about things such as current trends in the business, procedure, reminders on basic skill, also marketing tips and other things you can do to help improve your business. And of course, we also will keep you abreast of any new law changes or bills that are coming up, things of that nature. We also host from time to time exclusive online income opportunity events. So we'll have speakers come on and talk about how you can add a new service line to your business. The most recent one we had was how to become an inspector of elections for HOA elections in California. And later this year, we're going to have an IPEN vendor come on and talk about how you can add that to your business. Nice. And how to market it and how to gain new clients with that. And also, since California is one of the few states who doesn't have remote online notarization yet, though I know that notaries often are asked for it, we're going to have an RON vendor come on and talk about how to become an RON facilitator. So that way you can kind of set yourself up as being an RON signing company, if you will. Right. So we do those sorts of things. We also put those videos in our replay library so that our members can access them and review them at any time. And then we have a public forum on the website as well, where you can pop on and ask questions and get help and things of that nature. So, it's not just about moving the mission forward. We also want to give our members as many benefits to help move their business forward as well.
That's awesome. And I love being a member of this. And I post stuff all the time, blog posts and stuff like that. But the membership also helps support what? Because what you do as part of this is, and I might be jumping ahead. Well, let's just start with this. Is California League of Independent Notaries really just for California notaries?
No, not at all. All notaries are welcome because even though we may be based in California, we actively work with other state notary groups and track legislation and policy changes across the country and at the federal level as well. So, you know, just because we're in California doesn't mean that you might not be affected by something that we're reporting on or tracking, and you can certainly join the league to help keep abreast on those types of things as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so before we get to the next question that's on my list, how does the membership help support things that we're trying to achieve in legislation?
Yeah, so lobbying and advocacy work takes time and money. So basically, the member dues pay for things like press releases, and we have an operative in Washington, and helps to pay for things like our action email system, which I'll talk a little bit about later, that actually lets members take action directly with their lawmakers across the country, and on in-person lobbying, boots on the ground lobbying takes time and money to do those things as well. So that's really, what you're supporting is that's a big part of our mission, is helping to make sure that the notary's perspective is taken into consideration. And that means someone being, at the Capitol and, in meetings and making calls and writing letters and giving testimony and all those things.
All the things that come with it. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, let's talk about why you're here. So things are changing right now, and there's some news to report. And we're talking about current notary-focused bills that are in House and Senate that affect notaries here in California, but also notaries across the country. Can you first name all the bills that are doing their things right now?
Sure. So in California specifically, we have 2 remote online notarization bills. One is named Assembly Bill 743, and the other one is Senate Bill 696. Those both would authorize remote online notarization in California, amongst other things.
Okay.
And then we also have a journal records bill titled Assembly Bill 300, and this is regarding what happens to notarial records, or basically your journals, after a notary dies or passes away. And then the last one we'll talk about today are there's 2 now, the 2 federal secure notarization acts, and where they are and what they mean. So that's currently what's going on in our orbit right now. Although I know that there's a new Texas bill that would raise fees in that state that's being worked on as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with the Ron bills and where they are right now. It's AB 743. Can we talk about that first?
Yeah.
What is it? Who supports it or opposes it? And where does it stand today?
Sure. So Assembly Bill 743 is an RON bill, and this is the culmination of work that has been done for years. It contains all the hard-fought provisions that we and other stakeholders have fought for over the years. It is authored by Assemblymember Kati Petri Norris, and she's from the Costa Mesa Irvine area.
Right.
The bill is sponsored by the California Realtors Association, and support includes the Credit Union League, the Orange County Realtors, the CLIM, and currently there is no registered opposition on file.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in addition to all those, more specifically about those hard-fought provisions, one is very strict data privacy protections for the notary, the journal, and the signer and the contents of their documents. To date, the RON bills across the country haven't really addressed this issue very well, but in California, we intend to make sure any RON bill contains those kind of protections.
Yeah.
Also, some liability sharing or liability protections, because in a RON transaction versus an in-person transaction, the RON platform takes on the identity vetting and proofing process. So oftentimes the notary and the signer don't meet until after that process is complete, which is different from in person, right? The notary takes care of them themselves. So we have said that should their identity vetting and proofing process fail, and fraud occurs, that liability should not fall down on the notary.
Gotcha.
And so the AB 743 addresses that by in two ways. It has a what's called a private right of action in it. So any party involved in the transaction that suffers damages can sue the platform for
Right.
damages. And
Right.
also there's a penalty fee for each occurrence should they commit any negligence to any part of the act. So that is $250 per occurrence, which is very much in line to what notaries today face if they commit any negligent acts as well.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then the last one, which is something that's been really important for California notaries, is jurisdictional protections. And basically what that means is, so in today's RON environment, notaries can venture outside of their commissioning state into other states and perform notarizations for signers outside their state. And while that is very convenient, it's presenting problems that were not anticipated. So one is that if you're a California resident and you have something notarized by, say, for example, a notary in Virginia, and some kind of irregularity pops up, there's nothing California can really do for you because they don't have jurisdiction over that notary or that transaction, because just like in person notarization, the transaction technically takes place where the notary's feet are. So California couldn't, say, for example, force the surrender of the journal records, or couldn't reprimand that notary for performing erroneous notarial acts. And so, the consumer could be left holding the bag, or will most definitely be left with a very difficult, litigious, expensive process in making right whatever happened.
Right.
And then on the flip side, the other problem that is now presenting is that there are some of the larger online notary platforms employing business plans that basically target business in all 50 states, but they only hire notaries and channel their transactions through 4 states. So while that works for them, and typically those states are, lower cost, and with lower costs come lower standards. So again, that puts residents in states like California that traditionally have higher standards at risk. But further, it's driving notaries out of business. Between the slowdown in real estate and the vacuuming of the business by the larger platforms, it is making life very difficult for traditional notaries. And that's a problem because there's evidence from the annual Solidify Mortgage Experience Survey that for 3 years running now suggests that more than 80% of borrowers prefer an in-person closing experience for added trust and access to expertise. And we would imagine that statistic remains true for general business as well. So, there's a really interesting example playing out right now in Sierra County, California. And this is a county of more than 3,200 residents. And now, as of today, are down to just 4 active notaries.
Jeez.
So, while our friends in technology would say, well, gosh, RO would be a great solution for that. Well, maybe if your internet connection is reliable, if you have a way to upload your documents, and let's not forget, if the consumer even wants to use that service, there's consumer choice comes into play too. So we think that that's creating an undue burden for the consumer to access notarial services. So what we have fought for, and what's concluded in 743, would be a simple clause that says if you're in California at the time of signing, you'll be served by a California notary, whether that's in person or online. And we think that that is prudent in making sure that the long-term reliability of the notarial system remains intact.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could possibly lose control of notarization.
It sounds very wild, wild west, the way they want, kind of gunslinging. Whatever you want to do it. And as a notary, I've been a notary for 2.5 years now. When I meet notaries that have had very minimal training and very minimal experience, it sends shivers down my spine. So I'm like, if you're a California notary, my goodness, there's so much you need to understand and know, and that 6-hour course is not enough.
No.
So, you know,
But
the
some states
idea,
don't even have that.
I know.
So,
I think that Jim Allen said that in Idaho, they just have to go fill out something, and I don't even think they have a test.
poof,
So,
you're a notary.
proof you're a notary. Yeah. So, wow. Okay.
But yeah, it's just it's something that we think is prudent, and if we can change that here in California, then obviously we can change that all across for notaries all across the country.
Right.
So that's a really big deal for us. Other things, it would allow you to use multiple journals, because in real life practice, you're probably going to be using multiple online platforms,
Right.
which is something new for California notaries.
Yeah.
And then it would create this centralized repository. So all records would be downloaded to the Secretary of State's office, where it would keep a safe copy there, because we know that things online can easily become corrupted or lost, or who knows.
Right.
And really, the backbone of the notary system is journal records, right?
Mhm.
That's how we prove people did actually sign this or didn't sign this. So that's really important to the civil justice system, or more specifically, the AG's office. AB 743 would obviously require you to register, and the platforms to register to be used in California, and it would be effective January 1, 2028.
Okay.
The one thing that stands out about this bill and the sister bill in the Senate is that, because of the central repository and just because of outdated infrastructure at the Secretary's office and inadequate staff, the price tag is rather high. It's $40 million in the first year, and then an additional $200 million in years 2 through 10.
Jeez.
Yeah, and in a year when the state has a budget deficit, that makes things really difficult. So unfortunately, this bill was held in the Assembly Appropriations Committee on May 18th and is effectively dead for this year. But there's still hope. There's still hope.
Wow.
So the other bill, the sister bill in the Senate.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that's Senate Bill 696.
Right.
And that's authored by Senator Portantino and co-authored by Assemblyman Lowe. Mr. Portantino is from Southern California, and Mr. Lowe is from the San Jose area, the South Bay. And there's broad support for this. The BSA Software Alliance, the California Credit Union League, the California Land Title Association, Chamber of Progress, DocuSign, National Notary Association, and Zillow Group have supported this bill.
Okay.
Up until recently, the CLIM and the Electronic Frontier Foundation had opposed this bill, and I actually gave opposition testimony on this bill because it didn't include any data privacy protections. It didn't include any kind of liability sharing or private right of action, and it doesn't include any kind of jurisdictional protections. But the good news is, when working with the Senate Judiciary Committee, we were able to get the data privacy protections and the private right of action and liability sharing amendments back in the bill.
Oh,
that's
great.
good. Yeah. But the only thing left that's not in it is that the jurisdictional protections we talked about is not in this bill. And there's a clause in this bill that kind of is raising eyebrows, in that it would declare that notarial acts performed anywhere on the planet have the same effect as if performed inside California. And that's raising eyebrows, because standards aren't the same anywhere else in the world. And so that's something that we're taking a look at. We're also going to continue to work with the author's office. I have a meeting this week, and the Assembly Judiciary Committee, in trying to get jurisdictional protections back in. We think that there's a shot, possibly getting them back in. But this bill also has the same exact price tag because it also creates a repository. It also would require the staffing up of the secretary's office to roll out the program, new handbooks, just all of these things that we take for granted would have to be worked on and distributed. Every notary would have to be contacted. It's a lot of work and therefore a lot of money. The good news is the Senate bill did make it out of the Senate, and now it's in the Assembly awaiting committee assignment. And once that happens, it will obviously go through the Judiciary Committee in the Assembly, and then of course the Appropriations Committee in the Assembly, and then it would go for a floor vote. But we're probably 4 to 6 weeks away from that if we get that far.
Okay.
I'm a little worried about the price tag.
Yeah.
And there are some ideas I have to pitch to the author's office to help bring down that price tag, but there are no guarantees. So what we're going to do is amend our position from opposed to support if amended, meaning if you include our jurisdictional protection amendment, then we will support the bill. So that's where we are right now.
So right now, if it gets all the way through to where we ended with the last one, that dollar amount's still gonna be an issue, right?
Yeah, and right now in Sacramento, budgetary issues are front and center. So that's kind of, that's the one thing I'm worried about. Going into this legislative session with 2 bills, 1 in each chamber, basically sister bills, despite a few amendments here or there, I was very optimistic. I was very hopeful that one of the bills would pass or both of them would pass, and then it would go to conference committee. But nobody anticipated this kind of price tag. And, there might be some politics going on there. That might be a signal from the secretary's office saying, hey, we don't want to be this central repository. But that's okay, because we know of private market solutions out there that can do the same thing, which is conglomerate all your journal records from all the different platforms into one centralized place. So maybe.
Well, Matt, they can't really hold off forever, right?
No, you can't ignore this pop away.
Yeah, it's going to have to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2 other bills we're looking at. AB 300 is the journal records bill.
Yeah, AB 300 is a great bill. It really goes a long way in strengthening the notarial system and the long-term reliability of the notarial system. So basically, I had a legal group come to me earlier this year who specializes in the estate and trust planning. Trust and estate planning arena. And recently, they've had a couple of trusts come to question. And they needed to pull those journal records, but alas, they were never filed, and now the notary has passed away, so they're effectively lost. And that's creating some, issues for the surviving beneficiaries and families. And the whole point of trust is to avoid those types of things, and that's why we have them notarized, so that there is official record of those documents being executed. So what we decided was, with working with them, we would propose a bill that would address that issue. So currently, you're supposed to identify a personal representative to take care of your journal records after the fact that you may die. But it's not required. It's just suggested. It's just part of the code. It's not a mandated requirement. So therefore, what we're finding out is very few notaries actually do that. So what we thought was, well, let's first expand who could be responsible for those records after death. So not just a personal representative, but maybe the executor of your estate, your attorney, maybe a service, right? This could have been a new service that would have popped up that you could register with, kind of like a registered agent service that most businesses have. A notary could have a journal records agent. And also make sure that it's not just suggested in the code, but actually required that you identify this personal representative, explain to them what their duties are, and register their name and contact information with the secretary's office. That way they at least have someone they can reach out to
Yeah.
should they learn that you've died and your journal records haven't been filed.
Right.
And then also that we would mandate that you list that person's name and information on the inside cover of your journal. That way there's another way for someone somewhere to see that.
Backing up.
Yeah,
Make sure that we have
checks and
access
balances.
and
Exactly.
everybody knows where it
That's
needs
right.
to go. Yeah.
And so, that was sponsored by the California Conference of Bar Associations. So they had a really powerful sponsor. It was authored by Assembly Member Pappen, and it was supported by us, the National Notary Association, the Oakland Privacy Group, and there was no opposition on file for this bill. But again, unfortunately, I love the bill. It was totally non-controversial. Everybody loved it, thinks it's a good idea. But unfortunately, it was also held in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. And the price tag for this bill was only $200,000 to $300,000.
Yeah.
So as you can see, they're counting every
budget is an issue. They're going to be looking at everything.
Every penny.
That's a shame.
So yeah, all non-necessary bills are probably going to be held. But this bill is so good, we'll absolutely bring it back again next year because this is something that we think would benefit everybody.
I agree.
In a big way. And nobody that I talked to had any kind of pushback or opposition. So we will resuscitate that one in next year's session for sure.
Do you know why I think that bill's not going to have any pushback from other notary communities is what we do for a living is to support our community, to prohibit fraud and to ensure everything goes smoothly. I would be rolling in my grave if my journals not getting to where they needed to be was affecting somebody's trust that they set up with me today.
Yeah.
30, 40 years from now, that would drive me. I love this. I would do this. And if there was a place to put everything now, I would do it now.
Yeah.
I hope that this comes back and it's something that gets just zoomed right through because I know there's going to be some infrastructure changes and things like that for that, but minimum. Yeah. Agreed.
Minimal. It's more policy based than infrastructure based. So I think we'll bring that back and I think it'll, eventually get through. It's actually rare in politics that bills get through in the first year. They just take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with that. We really like that bill, like I said, and we'll bring it back. Yeah. But the last bill that I want to talk about is a federal bill, and this bill would affect every single notary in every single county across the country, and that is the Federal Secure Notarization Act. And this has been around for a few years. It keeps coming back. And basically what it would do is authorize remote online notarization for all notaries in all states immediately without any education or registration. And that raises some eyebrows because that kind of opens the door for impersonation of notaries. Fraud. And if you've been watching the news lately and reading our newsletter, that there's about 10 cases involving real estate in California right now involving that exact problem, impersonation of a notary, by way of RON, actually. So that's something that we don't think is good, but also it would just reinforce that permissive environment of allowing the big companies to kind of consolidate down the business and cause this same issue all across the country of a lack of notaries. So we think that this bill is a bad bill. And basically, there's two of them. They're sister bills. The House bill was authored by Representative Kelly, and the Senate bill was authored by Kevin Kramer, both of which are from North Dakota.
Yeah, I was going to say they're both North Dakota.
Yeah. So that was interesting. But basically it's supported by the tech, title, and banking industry, but there's no notary organizational support for this bill.
I'm looking at the list of oppositions going, wow, does that ring bells for anybody or set off alarms?
Yeah, it should. I mean, you know, you have with big heavy hitters in the opposition list, including the California AG, has been very vocal about this for
Yeah.
several years, in fact. This year, the Wyoming Secretary of State issued a very scathing position letter. The Montana Secretary of State, the National Notary Association, the ACLU, the AARP, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, a very long trusted group called Consumer Research Organization, as well as many notary organizations, including us and the Georgia Notary Network, the New York Notary Alliance, the Association of Notaries, on and on. So we think that we are in a pretty good position on these bills. The House bill passed out of the House in February, and
Right.
the Senate bill was introduced, and so they're both kind of parked in the Senate Judiciary Committee right now.
Okay.
And what we're hoping is they just don't get a hearing and they'll just, you know, expire at the end of session. But, you know, in the meantime, we are going to continue to keep our opposition up.
Okay.
And so in the very near future, probably this coming week, I'm going to be working on an action email campaign. So if you haven't already signed up for our newsletter, or if you haven't already become a member, make sure to do that so that you can get the email that will allow you to make your voice heard directly with your state's lawmakers.
Can you tell people, well, I'll put it in the description, but can you tell people where to go to sign up for that?
Absolutely. Simply go to calnotaries.org/join, and you can become a member there. You can sign up for our newsletter there. But make sure to do that because this is really important. We have been told that the Senate Judiciary Committee, you know, they say, okay, we see how organizations feel about this. Now we want to hear from people who actually do the work. We want to hear from people who are on the front lines.
Right.
So it's important that everyone who can participate in this email campaign in the coming week or two.
Right. Okay. So just a quick, that's a lot of information. And for any, but I think it's so important as notaries in any state that you're super aware of what's happening, even in the background. Because if nobody makes noise about some of these things that are happening in the background where people can't see, nope, the common person doesn't have an understanding of what's wheeling and dealing right on the floors of the Senate and the House. And so if you're not in a situation to know what's going on, it's going to sneak up and surprise you when a law gets passed that does not work for any notary. And so being a part of an organization like yours, I think is incredibly important so that we stay in the know and we can be active contributors to whichever side we need to be on time, in a timely manner. So
it makes a difference. It makes a
Yeah.
huge difference.
Okay, so just a quick review. Again, quick. What bill stands where? What bill do we believe we should support or oppose at this point?
Sure. So both AB 743, the Assembly RON bill in California, and AB 300, the General Records bill, are effectively dead for this year. So there's nothing else we can do on those. However, Senate Bill 696, the California RON bill, is still alive. It's currently awaiting a committee assignment in the Assembly. And once that happens, there'll be a hearing date, and I will obviously be in touch about that. Let you guys know how you can participate in that. We'll do an email campaign. We may even have an all-call lobby day to come to give testimony if it makes it that far. But that's still going. And as I said, we're going to take a position of support if amended and continue to propose our amendments and our reasons why. The Federal Secure Act bills, like I said, are in the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee, and they want to hear from you. So this next week, I'm going to be working on the email campaign and getting that rolled out. And it's real easy, folks. You know, all you got to do is make a couple of clicks, insert your signature, and it goes straight to the person that needs to go to. And those emails are counted. I've been assured they are counted.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what's coming up next.
Awesome. We talked about this a little bit before this last question, but share with me why you think getting involved with, or at least staying informed about current notary legislation is really so important to our business.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, not only does it kind of give you a leg up so you can plan and capitalize on new opportunities that unfold because of these policy decisions, but every business or industry group in the US lobbies to protect their own best interests. And
Gotcha.
notaries should too, because for a very long time, far too long, I would argue, the notary's perspective has been crowded out by big business or just simply left behind. They're just the notaries, right? Well, I disagree with that. So, it's very important now, I would argue more than ever, to make the notary's voice heard, because we really are at the precipice of incredible change in our business.
Yeah, we are.
There's remote online notarization. There's in-person electronic notarization. Digital IDs are being piloted right now in other states, and these IDs are so smart, they can self-verify themselves. There's electronic journals. There's e-apostilles coming, and this brand new, monster Goldilocks thing. It's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, I think, called AI. And so we all need to wrap our heads around that. That's certainly going to touch every part of the world, just like computers did when they first hit the scene. So it's really important that notaries are at the forefront and actively involved right now.
Right. I want to ask a question that's been asked before we get into the next one. Is Marjorie Donovan is asking, given these laws, where does an electronic journal fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the RON bills do address electronic journals because obviously that's part of remote online notarization. I know that there is no specific statute in place right now in California and a lot of other states regarding the use of electronic journals. However, a lot of notaries are using them. And so long as you are fulfilling the laws of your state regarding what information you capture at the time of transaction, then you are compliant. And if you're able to produce those journal records, because that's what Secretary of State's offices and Attorney General's offices and the courts are most concerned about, is can you produce those records? That's what helps them. Yeah. So if you can produce those records and you've captured all the information you're supposed to, I would say you're compliant. I don't think the Secretary of State's office is going to start looking for notaries using electronic journals. They got much other things to worry about than that. But I do think that they are something that's going to really revolutionize the notary business going forward and just make recording our transactions easier, right? And as I mentioned before, the more records we keep, the stronger it makes the notarial system.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that that question is going to come up more and more as everything's going that way. And that's what we're here about. The whole reason we're here is about California and other states trying to move in a direction that allows notarizations to be added to the grand scheme of things that is online. And it's moving in that direction. Electronic journals are moving there faster. But yeah,
technology always moves pretty quickly, but I think everyone would agree that notaries aren't going anywhere, especially as the world becomes more remote and unfortunately less reliable. People are going to want more and more proof that you are signing that paper, and with AI that you are a real person.
Yeah.
So I think the opportunity for notaries going forward is huge.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we know CLIN helps us stay informed and gives us the opportunity to get involved. Remind me about the things that we get as being members of that. I know we have a monthly newsletter.
Got a monthly newsletter. We do law alerts, like if something big happens in between newsletters. We do action email campaigns where you can, send in a letter from you to your lawmakers. We are now doing a monthly roundtable on the first Thursday of the month to kind of recap what's going on. Yes,
I just attended my first one. That was fantastic, and it's actually what spurred this. And so I think that's a great thing that you do, Matt. Really is.
Thanks. And then also like our directory, our website directory, and income opportunity events and replay library, and just all the great things that we try to offer our members as part of membership who support the movement. So there's a lot to gain, I think, from the CLIN. And as we grow, there'll be more things to offer.
Yeah. What are the levels of membership?
So there's three levels of membership for notaries. The top level is called the advocate level. This is $99 annually, so less than $10 a month. Gives you full access to everything, and also puts your directory listing on the home page of the website. And then right now, while supplies last, if you sign up, renew, or upgrade your membership to the advocate level, you get a free copy of Bill Soroka's The Notary Business Building Challenge book, which is a great book because it gives you something small to do on your business every single day to help you get more clients over the long haul. And you can apply it to any business, really. It doesn't have just notaries. The second level is $49 a year, which is less than $5 a month. And that also gives you full access. Your photo directory listing will appear at the top of search results. And, you also can post your events and blog articles and that sort of thing. And then the basic level membership is just $29 annually, also gives you full access and a directory listing in our directory. And then for members of the public, we have a free membership. It's called the supporting membership. And this is basically for members of the public and basically gets them our newsletter and that sort of thing. And those members often do donation-based support.
Gotcha. Well, this has been amazing, and listen, I'm really grateful to have you in my life. We are friends. We are part of this network together, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to pick up my phone and call you when I have questions, which often happens at tables with food and new notaries, and I look like a superstar.
My two most favorite things.
When Matt Miller goes, Jen, and you could hear it across the restaurant. I'm like, hey, Matt, I feel pretty special. But I do feel honored that I have the ability to do this. But not everybody has somebody that can just pick up the phone and call. You give so many resources right from the website. I mean, you guys spend any time at the website, you're gonna have a lot of stuff to chew on, because I really think it gives a lot of content that's really important to us and to our business, and opportunities to get involved. Yeah,
which there's not a lot of other organizations that give the notaries direct access to involvement. So I think that's what helps set us apart, and I hope that notaries recognize that. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. You can email me at matt@calnotaries.org, or my phone number is listed at the bottom of the website. Give me a call.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have any other thoughts you want to share before we sign off for the night?
Well, I just want to say thanks again for having me today, Jen. I really appreciate the opportunity to help just spread the information. That's what a lot of advocacy work is about, is sharing information, keeping people informed. All of you out there, thank you for taking the time to listen out of your day. And I hope that we can, do this again someday. This has been really fun.
I actually think we should do this whenever there's major changes going on.
Let's do it.
I will get better at the whole live thing. So for those people who are in the wrong spot, I'm sorry. We'll figure it out next time. It was my first time doing that. Thank you for being my guinea pig. Thank you for just hanging out with me this afternoon.
You're welcome, Jen. I really enjoyed it.
All right, you guys.
Any other questions in the chat?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
Patricia. Amy Lou's waving. Patricia's waving at us. So saying hi. When this goes live on YouTube, I will go into the description box and add a bunch of stuff so you can get in touch with Matt, get on the newsletter, or get into a membership so you can support California League of Independent Notaries. That's all I got, Matt.
Great. Thanks so much.